Good evening and welcome to our newsroom, dear viewers, for the English News Edition. The major stories for tonight are: at the National Assembly, 9 bills were reviewed at the President's Conference. And on the international news concerning Trump's tour in Asia, in Vietnam, Trump welcomes progress on North Korean issues. Those are top stories, and thank you for joining us in our newsroom. The President of the National Assembly, Mohammed Ali Hamid, chaired a meeting with the heads of different commissions to consider several bills and submit them to the parliamentarians for approval at a future meeting. The government was represented by the Prime Minister. The bills examined were the draft law on the protection and promotion for people with special needs and their rights, the draft law on ratification of the agreement between the Republic of Djibouti and the Saudi Fund for Development financing the Tijara-Bala Road, which is a rehabilitation project, the draft law on the elder people protection rights, the bill establishing a reception center housing for the elderly, the bill on the transfer of the Djiboutian Railway Company into a public limited company, the reorganization bill for the Ministry of the Communication in charge of telecommunication policies, and many others. The President of the National Assembly received this morning for a farewell visit the Brigadier General responsible for the U.S. Forces stations at Camp Lemonnier. The discussions focused on bilateral relations of common interest. President Mohammed Ali Hamid was delighted to receive the American General again and thanked him for improving the political and military ties between our two countries. General and Adams said that all these years spent in Djibouti will be engraved in his memory. He thanked the President of the Assembly for his unwavering support. At the end of the visit, gifts were exchanged as souvenirs. The Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Mahmoud Ali Hamid, received today Mr. Masahisa Sato, Minister Delegate to the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Japan. During the meeting, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation and the Japanese Deputy Minister emphasized the excellent relations between the two countries. The two men then talked about the bilateral cooperation and the progress of underway projects. They also discussed several topics related to the development of socio-economic infrastructure as well as the training and enhancement of human capital. And finally, the logistic donation for Coast Guards was also discussed. The two ministers held the crucial role of the self-defense forces in the fight against maritime piracy. The head of Djiboutian diplomacy, Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, wished for a great investment of Japanese companies in Djibouti. And finally, the two ministers discussed the issues of the reform of the United Nations Security Council. The Association Rotary Club Mer Rouge organized last Friday afternoon an awareness march on breast cancer. Through this action, the Rotary Club aimed to inform the population about breast cancer screening. Breast cancer affects 1 out of 8 women and is the leading cause of death among women between the age 35 and 65. The participants that helped organize this march are SOS Village des Enfants as well as the UNFT and the Caravane du Livre. At the initiative of the First Lady and the President of the National Union of Djiboutian Women, the 100 families relocated to the Nassif city yesterday received food donations and other accessories from the First Lady Khadra Mahmoud Haït. This ceremony took place in the presence of the Secretary of State for Social Affairs, Mona Osman Aden, the Secretary General for the UNFD, Fatouma Moussa Abdi, and the Mayor of the city of Djibouti, Fatouma Awali Osman, and the General Director of the Right of Housing Foundation. The families who benefited from this gesture of solidarity and generosity paid a great tribute to the First Lady who works day and night for the well-being of the families who are in need. In Health now, a neurosurgical mission led by Dr. Dianka began his consultation activities at the General Peltier Hospital. The objective of this mission is to provide surgical services to the patients with pathologies such as hydrocephalus or excess fluid in the brain, malformation of the spine, herniated disc, or other neurosurgical pathology. These consultations will make it possible to select patients requiring surgical operations that were previously lacking in Djibouti. The Ministry of Health calls on patients suffering from neurosurgical pathologies to visit the offices of the interests to the General PLT Hospital in order to benefit from the expertise of the neurosurgical mission. And continuing with the national news, Sunday in the afternoon, the Secretary of State for Youth and Sports, Hassan Mohammed Kamil, received in his office the experts in arbitration of the General Football staying in Djibouti. The delegation of experts from French-speaking African countries is led by the Secretary General and Vice President of the Djiboutian Football Federation. The meeting took place in the presence of close collaborators of the minister. After the usual greetings, where the visitors declared themselves to be enthusiastic about the warm welcome, the discussions focused on the upgrade of Djibouti football referee judges, and hence, according to the Secretary of State, the need of continuing education to respond in the best possible way the requirements of evolution of laws and clauses governing the rules of international football. The mayor of the city of Djibouti, Fatuma Awal, was accompanied by local elected officials yesterday with the population of District 7, the associations of youth and women, as part of a broad awareness program on the protection of public infrastructure. The mayor, who was greeted by the leaders of the various infrastructure projects implemented in this large district of the municipality of Bul'as, namely the construction of a college, a conference room, a gymnastic for women, and brand new mosque, and the replenishment of the main artery that loosens this neighborhood of Avenue Nasir. Projects initiated by the President of the Republic and his government to improve the way of life of these populations. It is a public utility infrastructure financed by the state, and through these awareness actions, the Mayor of Djibouti has focused on the protection and safeguarding these public goods. As part of a program to promote and protect human rights, the Community Management Committee organized an awareness meeting on the rights of the child in Hayable. And this meeting was jointly organized by the National Union of Djibouti, UNFT, and UNICEF. The speakers were able to address various issues to promote the rights of young people, including the need for parental recognition at birth to later obtain a national identity card, the refusal of any form of genital mutilation for girls, or even to fight against drugs. UNFT and UNICEF are deploying important means to organize this sensitization meeting with the population and through the community development centers. And now moving on to the international news. In Vietnam, Trump welcomes progress on North Korean issues. Hinda Ibrahim has more to tell us.
Sunday, November 12, congratulated the progress on the North Korean issues by announcing that China will intervene sanctions against Pyongyang. In a tweet from Hanoi, Vietnam, the will not make a stage of his Asian tour. His discussion with the Vladimir Putin on the sadness of the Asian Pacific summit in Denmark and Syria was the site of an important U.S. military base during the Vietnam War, according to the U.S. President. Wrote an obtrusive on the social network. Since the beginning of his Asian tour, Donald Trump sent Sunday morning before a joint press conference with his Vietnamese counterpart a series of tweets on the mutual issues of recent days.
The Central African Republic wants to revive its economy by several years of war. Let's listen to this comment.
The Central African Republic wants to revive its economic exercise by several years of war, an opportunity given with the investor forum held in Bangkok. The main objective is to attract foreign direct investment by presenting business and partnership opportunities with the national private sector. Ibrahim Fakhuri is a national investor. He said, "I think it is an opportunity for Central African investors to meet the foreign investor to make a call to support."
And that's all for tonight's news. Thank you for joining us on RTD. Have a good night.